One of the biggest surprises of the weekend, guys, is the Browns under Jameis Winston.
This wasn't a surprise. What do you mean?
They were 10-point underdogs.
I'm just saying.
Not that Jameis led a competent offense compared to Deshaun Watson. That was not surprising.
Yes.
The win in itself
Okay.
was very impressive for this team, Jay.
Yes, and it was the full Jameis. It's ridiculous that Baltimore lost this game. It's completely absurd that they lost the game between the Tucker missed field goals, between the 20 dropped interceptions from Jameis.
Kyle Hamilton.
That's insane. Rashad Bateman dropping like a 50-yard pass from Lamar Jackson, then blaming the sun, and then Lamar being on the sideline being like, you cannot blame the sun for dropping that pass.
We play a sport outdoors.
Yeah, you tripped. It wasn't the sun, it was you tripped, and then you were stumbling to catch it. So insane.
But it hit him like boom, like right there.
It's ridiculous. It was very frustrating, someone who needed Baltimore in that game.
Of course.
They had an outlier day,
by the way,
sure.
the week before, when Rashad Bateman's playing for producer Steven, he goes crazy.
Nuclear.
Yes. But this week, when Steven's playing somebody else, Rashad Bateman does Rashad Bateman thing.
Yeah.
Wonk.
To be fair, Baltimore had no business beating the Bengals a few weeks ago, so it kind of evened out a little bit, but still absurd that they lost that game. Kyle Hamilton, the biggest culprit. But with Jameis, this is going to be the Jameis experience.
Yeah.
And the idea that he is like Joe Flacco 2.0 from last year, the Redux, that is true to an extent. I think Jameis could have had 4 picks in this game pretty easily.
Wild.
But he gives them hope. Drive to drive, he gives them the hope that they can actually move the ball, and that's the key, and Cedric Tillman was the big beneficiary.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, it was a great game script, and Baltimore is as bad a pass defense in the NFL, but I will just very quickly, before we get to Tillman, I just want to say that Winston, home to the Chargers, bye at New Orleans, home to Pittsburgh. So the schedule gets a little bit tougher here, but I think he is very much a very viable QB2 the rest of the way, and a QB1 streamer in the right matchup. He heads into Monday Night Football as the 8th best quarterback in fantasy football. Cedric Tillman, why can't I sometimes be wrong? I want to be wrong. I wanted to be wrong about Cedric Tillman going off on me because Connor had him, and Connor in the League of Assholes, tonight it doesn't even matter. I've been slapped like a grape. I've been crushed like a grape. I've been completely decimated. And I had a good game, but Connor has the high score in our league. I put up a really good game. Here's our matchup right here.
You play the high scorer every week.
Every single week. It's unbelievable. Look at this. Look, Fantasy Life commenter, the Connor's team, he put up 159. He's still got Tyrone Tracy and Najee Harris to go tonight. I mean, Josh Downs. It was just.
Travis Kelce finally caught a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Kelce goes off as well. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Every single one of his guys. He gets the 2 touchdowns from Mostert.
Great.
The 2 BS touchdowns from Mostert.
It's a lovely day.
It was ridiculous. I mean, again, I just got my ass kicked and handed to me right there as well. I'm so beat up. But one of the things I did say last week was that Cedric Tillman was going to go off and be part of the defeat at the hands of Connor Rogers, and he did this, by the way. And the reason I said this about Cedric Tillman is because we, as a show, have been massive Cedric Tillman fans ever since he was drafted, and by we, I really mean Connor Rogers. Watch this.
This is a phenomenal player and a true outside wide receiver in a draft full of smaller slot targets. Tillman's 6'3", he's bigger than Quentin Johnston. He's got better hands. He only dropped 5 passes over the last 2 years on 145 targets. He's got the frame to go over the middle of the field. I mean, really, I saw Cortland Sutton. He's got a totally different kind of competitive drive on the field than a lot of wide receivers in this draft.
I bet you the Browns go 4 and 5 wide at times as well. This is going to be a very fantasy-friendly, very pass-happy offense. So Cedric Tillman, a great late-round flyer in redraft, and certainly a terrific landing spot for when it comes to Dynasty.
We just needed Deshaun Watson out of the way.
Yeah, that's all we did. I mean, honestly.
A little early. We're just
right,
a little early.
We were just a little early. But no, we've talked about him. We talked about him on the waiver wire show last week as well. We've talked about him. We talked about him, honestly, in our reaction to the Amari Cooper trade. We were like, maybe finally Cedric Tillman gets a chance. Club said is completely open. And what I'm going to see if that I'm floating that out there.
I actually like that.
Better than your usual stuff,
Brand.
Club said.
That's like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, Club said.
Better than better.
Club said is open.
Anyway, back-to-back games now with at least 7 receptions and 80 receiving yards. He has almost a 24% target share. He's earning targets at a high rate on an offense that's clearly going to throw. And Jameis has that, F it, Tillman's down there somewhere
really
kind of
does.
vibe. You know what I mean? And so if he's still, we'll talk about more tomorrow because he is not 100% rostered, Tillman. I mean, he is in the League of Assholes, of course, but and in deeper leagues. But anyway, it's a long way of saying that we think this is
for real. This is very for real. Yeah,
very, very.
Especially with Jameis under center. On the Ravens side of things, Jay, Mark Andrews is maybe back now at this point.
He might be back, and I get that he scored the touchdown, and that's kind of the big takeaway. He goes 5 for 36, but to me, clearly the most important thing is that he played 50 snaps out of 68 for the Ravens, and previously he was playing 50% of the snaps or lower, and so the fact that he is out there, I think gives credence to the idea that, I don't know, maybe he was carrying an injury or something early on, and now he's kind of semi-back.
Semi-back. I think that's the right way. Semi-back. Like still a 14% target share. He's had one game this year with more than a 16% target share. It's still Zay Flowers. They still want to run the ball with Derrick Henry. Lamar's always going to keep it for himself as well. But yes, since week 6, he's the third best tight end in fantasy on a points per game basis. The touchdowns have helped. Third straight game with a touchdown. Of course, he got the 2 the other game as well when I was facing him, because of course that's what happens. So I would say that He's still not the top 5 fantasy tight end he was drafted to be, but I think he's back on the low-end tight end 1 radar, again, with the bar being so low. I think if I was re-ranking for the rest of the season, he's somewhere in the 8 to 12 range among tight ends, somewhere there, because there's still going to be a decent amount of touchdown equity. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.